All right, welcome back to our 20th episode of the relationship series. That's quite the feat, actually. Not that it is our 20th only, but our live broadcasts like this and kind of a little bit more intentional, I would have to say. But once again, my name is Gina Spataro, and this is my brother, Sam Spataro. And we always talk about matters of the heart and mind, topics that people have endured, people question, people are afraid. Wow, that was a
Can
loud
you hear
car.
that?
I
I
heard
gotta, I gotta shut my window. Keep going.
questions that you might have but are not comfortable asking. We're definitely going to touch base on some of those. So, the past 2 weeks, this is our third week, we're talking about finding the right partner. There really is no right partner. Nobody's perfect. Everybody comes with their stuff, especially if you're meeting someone
I thought
later
I
in
was perfect.
life. So we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But how was your week, Sam?
Great start to my week.
Good. What makes
Yep.
it? What made it great?
You know what? I had a coaching session last week because I have a coach that helps me out with business and personal stuff, and really working on the physical side of
Uh,
things because that's been lacking for a while, but especially with the COVID thing. But just starting my mornings off right, going for some swims, waking up early,
Good.
and just really writing down some good empowering affirmations and hitting some goals on a piece of paper. And it just seems to really implore the sort of day you're going to experience, meaning with the mindset. So it's been really, really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Honestly, um, it's been good. Connecting with a lot more people. I had a course that I started about 4 years ago, and it today was the finale,
Awesome.
which is very bittersweet. And I notice, when you go down a certain path or, you long to connect with certain people, there comes a point where it's like, okay, that version of you or that part of your journey may have ended, but now you become the branch. So I'm figuring that part out right now, and I feel like it's all coming together nicely and the way it's meant to be. So I'm very fortunate and grateful. But yeah, so this is actually an extension kind of doing the relationship series of what I've learned over the years too, right? So everything has its place, everything has its purpose within your path. You just have to trust and go for it and believe. And things do happen and turn into fruition. So
Good for
that's
you.
what,
Congrats,
yeah.
G.
Thanks. It's been great. But to touch base on what we talked about the past 2 weeks, and this is the third week of finding the right partner. Once again, get rid of the notion that you're looking for the perfect one. There is no one, as Esther Perel has reiterated time and time again.
So no unicorns.
There's no unicorns. There's no whatever you want to call a man that's superhero, Superman. Everyone comes with their stuff. And I think some people's stuff is beautiful to uncover together. So you just have to understand it a little bit more. So tonight's topic is, if you're ready to get into a relationship and you are dating, some of the things to look for, maybe questions to ask. Because there's so many times, like I've had people ask me, like, I don't know what to do in this circumstance. I can relate a lot better to women, so to speak, and I know the value of being in women's groups. And I know that there's value in men being in strong men's groups. There's a variety of people out there that host these things, and you just have to find your niche and what compatibility pieces you are looking for within those groups, whether it's religious, whether it's dating, whether it's self-improvement, etc. Or there could be a variety. So one thing to question yourself and the person you're dating are the wants and needs. Now, here's a question, for people who are in their mid-30s, maybe 40s, looking to date. Is it too early, or is there a time frame that might be a little bit too quick to talk about your wants and needs? Or is it something where it's just like, get it out in the open? If you're compatible, you're compatible. If not, move on. No hard feelings. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think oh, what happened, G? You're gone. Anyways, I think really what it comes down to, first I'd like to hit on with the wants and needs. Wants, there you are.
I'm here.
You're
Sorry.
back.
Go ahead.
So I'm just touching base on the wants and needs. I think when it comes down to wants and needs, wants can be negotiable,
Uh-huh.
but needs can never be negotiated, right? It's almost like in anything in your life, there's always specific things you want, but the needs are necessities. And these are the things
Right.
that create the vitality in the relationship that, one day down the road, you may have regret with. And
Hmm.
so when it comes to the beginning stages of a relationship, let's face it, there's many phases, but you have to be really intelligent in this phase because a lot of the times the sensuality, the sexuality, the looks, that usually is the driving force for the majority of people. Now, where the majority of people end up in problems is when that fades and you
Hmm.
start to get to realize that your wants and needs are now not being met with the physical external world of the person that's with you. So I say walk that process very slowly, mindfully, and really pay close attention to those things that are needs and
Hmm.
wants, and kind of ask very specific questions, take them maybe to specific places, get them around people that allow
Hmm.
you to get that information that you're going to need in order to create that sort of evaluation of whether or not there's someone you want to continue with. Because
Right.
the majority of people, and us included in many relationships that we've been in with in our lives, end up having that phase where, okay, how did I get here?
Yeah. Yeah. Where you're blindsided, right? Where you're so involved in the emotions and the neurotransmitters that are going off in the initial phase, right? And it's
Yeah.
like you want to forget about everything else and compromise everything else because you're so searching for a connection, right? Where it's like your non-negotiables almost become negotiables, right? And I think that especially wants and needs when it comes to children, cohabitation, family, et cetera, especially if you're entering a blended family as well. There's things to consider and you have to get real. And for me, if I was single and, dating and at this point in my life, I would be very clear, very like upfront and very quick to ask these questions. I mean, there's no better time to get clear on things than the present time, right? What's the one thing you never get back is time. And when you're mature enough to handle the conversations, I think that you'll find someone who will be compatible enough to have this conversation with you. It's very clear, yes or no. Like, do you want to have children? The maybes are, you have to kind of scope out too, where it's like the wishy-washy people, right? Where it's like, well, maybe. Well, at what point in your life are you going to consider it's a yes or a no, right? Do you want to live together? Yes or no? Like, is this something that you're against? You know, and be very specific. Be very, very specific because we get so caught up in, well, he must be nice or she must be, um, I don't know, kind to my family, etc. Get real with other specifics, the things that are going to be detrimental long term. So next, okay, so look fors and questions. Because we live in an age where everybody's online, the next one is social media. There's so many platforms out there. What are look fors when, investing time in someone? Like, are there look fors when you go on people's social media? If they have it, first and foremost, what are they using it for in their intention and what to look for? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you have to tread lightly with that because there's a lot of people I know that are very prolific people on social media, but they're the complete opposite in many ways in real life.
Mm.
So sometimes people paint the picture of a certain, you know what? There's a gentleman by the name of John Luca. He's a very famous guy.
Yeah.
He's got like what 10 million followers on
Yeah.
Instagram.
The
What's his
DJ.
name?
The DJ.
Well, he's actually a very successful entrepreneur. He's got like a
Yep.
company that's worth billions, but he also does the DJing
Yep.
now and stuff.
Yep.
And I watched an interview that Valuetainment did on his channel
Oh,
with him
yes.
just today, actually. And he was asking a lot of questions about, how he transitioned his life. And he's like, well, now I do a lot of social media, but it's fun. It's,
Mm-hmm.
this side of, just having fun with people. And,
Mm-hmm.
so I think you really need to tread lightly. I mean, yeah, it can kind of give a lot of little tidbits about the person,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But a lot of times it doesn't really paint the real picture.
Mm.
So I do definitely say, I mean, if you're a guy and, you're seeing a girl and all she's doing is, these onesie photos of her and probably getting everybody and their neighbor to take selfies of herself while she's making poses everywhere, then yeah, she's probably a very self-absorbed person, or maybe she's trying to be the next American top model. I mean, you really have to see, through the facade of social media, and maybe just don't look at one platform. Look at multiple platforms, because each platform you do different things. So maybe on Facebook, you might see her or him with,
Mm-hmm.
certain hobbies they may have, or certain pictures with their parents or their siblings or friends. And that may allow you to gather more information. But if you are going to do the social media thing and try to make some judgments in that aspect, make sure you check out all spectrums on all the platforms you're on to allow you to make some, I guess, better judgments. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts?
I think nowadays, especially with the millennial generation, it's very few and far between that you won't find someone on social media. And yes, of course, the attention seeking is there. Yes, it's so crazy to me how if you just um, post pictures of yourself, you can become a millionaire without any effort, really. Yes, there's effort in like editing, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but like top entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins and who else? Give me an example.
Gary V.
Gary Vee, like the work is from the get-go, like when they
Yeah.
were babies, right? So to be successful on social media right now doesn't really take much, it takes looks, it might take traveling somewhere, etc. However, I think that yes, depending on your wants and needs, I think that you need to do your due diligence and look and see, because if you're not someone who likes the limelight and you have someone who is posting selfies 10 times a day, that could be an issue, right? Like the attention seeking could be an issue. So I think it's important to like you said, do your due diligence. Look, everyone pretty much is on it. Very few percentage of the world is probably not connected in such way. So yes, I would for sure. It's there, it's readily available, and you can find out a lot, I think. So the last one is discussing values, morals, and beliefs. I
Who
think
has morals these days?
that moral compass, right? Like,
Let's hit
does
it
it
hard.
exist? Yeah. Um, for me, I would have to say this is probably super, super important on my like it would have been important on my list to discuss values, morals, and beliefs. I mean, the way you and I were raised are completely different than maybe a lot of other people.
Mhm.
People would not accept the things that you and I encountered as children that they accept now, right? Like the woman, the women took care of the home, the men, you know, did their things around the home, etc. And I loved that part of, our values and morals, like that's something that I hold true and very near and dear to my heart. But not everybody would agree. And I think it's getting very clear on your expectations because everyone has them. Yes, we know that expectations are the hindrance within relationships, but everybody has them. So, how far and deep do you go with those values, morals, and beliefs when finding someone, Sam?
So I think you hit on a couple of things. So I think that really has to do with what are some of the things that we were taught and shown.
Right.
So when it comes to values, morals, and beliefs, our beliefs, and we're talking about what you just brought up, could have to do with, you know, what is your expectation between you, the man, and the female, or maybe you,
Right.
the man, and the man, or female, the female. Now, you're a bit different than the two generations prior to you, which is our parents and our grandparents. Yes, they did all those things, but the one thing that they didn't do at the time that maybe you're doing now is you're very career focused.
Mm-hmm.
You're being entrepreneurial. You're pursuing your dreams, your passions, your goals, right? Which is a bit different than what they did. Yes, they did all those things that you very encompassed
Mm-hmm.
as a woman. As I have, with a lot of things that I seen growing up in our family, but we are in very different dynamics today. So I
Mm-hmm.
think without breaking your compass and breaking your rules when it comes to the things that lift up your spirit, lift up, the embracement of like whatever relationship is between a man and a woman from our model, right? It's very important to find someone with either the same morals, beliefs, and values, or maybe someone who, I mean, this could work both ways. It could even be somebody who has different beliefs, morals, and values, but maybe shares the same sort of like, holistic view on life.
Right.
So they can have a little bit different, spectrum when it comes to their morals, their values, and beliefs. But at the end of the day, what's driving you both? Is it complementing one another? Is it accepting one another's differences? Or is it about trying to remold someone into a fit in a
Mm-hmm.
model that was created for you and that you've
Mm-hmm.
encompassed as your own? So
Right.
I think this is really good. When it comes to morals, values, and beliefs, these are things that you should never negotiate if we're talking about negotiating a relationship, and become very clear on that. And maybe when you even before you date or you're deciding to date, get a piece of paper and just say, when it comes to my morals, values, and beliefs, what are some of the things that are really important to me?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do is you keep that with you. Maybe even keep that with you when you're on a date,
Yeah.
and revisit it. You revisit it when they're before they get in the car, or you're in the washroom, or you have a break between one another, and just keep driving the things that are going to allow you to make a good decision
Mm-hmm.
based on moral ground,
Yeah.
based on the beliefs that you can share to build something together. Because there's nothing worse than trying to build something when you don't even ever get to the point of building a foundation. You go right to
Right.
the framing.
Yeah.
You really have to start with the things that drive us.
Yeah. It's funny because I can't remember where I heard it. Maybe it was just a clip from Dr. Phil or something. And, there's this girl who had like this laundry list of wants and needs based on her, beliefs. And you're right. It's getting real with what really matters, how you can complement one another, because some of those expectations are so unrealistic, and you have to get real with what is it that is holding me back because of my beliefs, that can't be complementary. Because I mean, if you come with a laundry list, like, you know what, the other person might too, and look at you, be like, look, you don't meet it either. So where's the middle ground where it's like you combine and you be complementary? There's certain things that we'll have to give. Beliefs, especially if it's religion, that could be a detrimental factor in deciding who you're going to choose, especially if you are very faith-filled. So get very clear on those negotiables and non-negotiables in all areas: wants, needs, social media, values, morals, and beliefs. You have to get very clear what matters to you and what are you willing to maneuver on. So
Yeah,
any final?
no, I
Yeah.
agree. And I think it's really funny because I had a conversation with someone a few hours ago, and they have a friend who's in his mid 40s, was married, had a child, wants to get back in the game, but there's just like roadblocks,
Right.
right? So, I mean, when we're talking about relationships nowadays, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean marriage.
Nope.
It could be what other terms of, or specifics that you want to create. But it's very important to understand that you really need to take the time to say, you know, if I could create the ultimate relationship, what sorts of values, morals, and beliefs
Mhm.
would this person have to have that are never going to be negotiated? What
Right.
sorts of wants and needs also on top of that are, when it comes to children, when
Mhm.
it comes to money, family, so many different aspects of things, retirement,
Right.
where do you want to go? Where do you want to live? How career focused are you guys? Does someone want to be a stay-at-home mom? Does someone want to be a stay-at-home dad? Are you both going to work?
Right.
These are things you need to be very specific and clear on. And just by starting off on that foot, you're already creating the path to success,
Mhm.
because it's just like a business. It's just like anything. If you take the time to sit down and clearly write down what your path is to creating a successful relationship, a fulfilling one, a happy one that you can feel lit up, you have to start
Yeah.
with the things that matter.
Yeah. I mean, there's so, and you mentioned something too, where it's like, and you have to consider these things like culturally too, right? Like we come from an Italian background, and, we're very family oriented, where we're very involved. And if you meet someone who isn't appreciative of the involvement, or like family members coming over all the time and spending, like that could be an issue, right? You have to have these talks because I do know a couple that split because of that, because one partner was spending way more time with, the parents, the nieces and nephews, rather than the husband. And they come from very different
Yeah.
dynamics. And it was very impeding within their relationship. So it is very important to have those conversations that you don't think of right away, right? Because they will matter. And it's how you navigate them together. If you can, right? If it's something that's going to bother you, then you got to think about that long term, because you're
Yeah.
investing
Yeah.
that time. So it's silly to talk about maybe, but it's the reality, right?
I just thought of an idea, and we've talked about this before. We should do our next video, but the top 10 things, make a list that people can comply, that we can create, that they can go in and use the next time they decide to go on a date or they're looking to get back in a relationship. And it'd be like a checklist that
Yeah.
they can fill out, and
Okay.
it'd be a helpful tool.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
The negotiables and non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well,
Cool.
on that note, this is the relationship series, always talking about the matters of the heart and mind. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to help support this channel. And share this with anybody who is also questioning, getting back into the dating scene. And once again, these are just some suggestions to look for and question when exploring dating, because long term matters. Your time is an investment, and invest wisely, because sometimes when you take that dive and invest, it could be a very hard lesson. So, anyways, we are signing off. So, ciao for now.